Hello and welcome to the midweek edition of Business Live. Coming up, we will be analyzing the level of preparedness of the business community as the 2025 budget is said to be heavy on tax compliance as government signals its intention to remove some levies despite concerns from the country's development partners. We are live with some business groups. Also in this bulletin, government finally gives its approval for the insurance companies to go ahead and implement the 10% increase in third-party tariffs. We'll be telling you more. Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojo Baka. This evening, government has indicated that it will be heavy on tax compliance measures in the 2025 budget. This is one of the several measures being considered to make up for the gap that will be created as a result of removing some taxes. Details in the following report.
Based on what we are picking up, government will indeed press ahead to remove all the taxes and levies as promised in its campaign manifesto. One can talk about the Burton tax, COVID-19 levy, and the e-levy. All these taxes could result in government losing more than 10 billion Ghana cedis every year. This has resulted in some renewed pressure on government to review this proposal. It follows revelations from the World Bank that the economy could struggle, especially when revenue mobilization is not looking too good for this year. But persons close to government insist all these taxes will be removed. They argue that some of these fresh measures could make up for any shortfall. However, one cannot rule out government going through the route of fees and charges to also complement these tax compliance measures that the Finance Minister, Dr. Ato Forson, will announce in the 2025 budget that will be presented to Parliament on March 11, 2025.
What do businesses make of this move? Let's get on to Zoom and speak with the Ghana Union of Traders Association, its president, Dr. Joseph Obeng, as well as the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, Chona Mapelu. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for joining us here on Business Live. First off, we are learning that the 2025 budget will be heavy on tax compliance as it moves to remove some taxes you deemed nuisance. Your thoughts, Dr. Obeng, first off.
Yeah, it is very important that we enforce on compliance. It's very important, especially when government is making efforts to remove some or most of the nuisance taxes from the budget. It's very important. As I've always been saying, the key to revenue enhancement is enforcement, is compliance. And then the key to compliance is the simplicity and affordability and uniformity of these taxes. If you're able to look at these areas to make taxes very affordable and simplified, as well as being uniformed, and then remove all thresholds and limits in the tax system, then of course the fair playing ground is created that compliance should be assured. And then it's not only that these things should only move compliance, but enforcement, monitoring and enforcement of the compliance is also key. That's why Ghana Revenue Authority is also there to make sure that we all conform to the rules and engagement when it comes to taxation. So it's very important. Now, I think that's a very good, government have shown good faith if it's able to reduce these taxes. And it means that we also have to show good faith by complying. That's what we have to do. We do not always have to cut corners and then hurt government revenue. So the most important thing is what government is going to do. And we are looking at the significance of this tax reduction. It's very important that we also make these taxes very affordable. When we say that we are reducing, it means that we are reducing and making it simplified and affordable so that compliance does not become a difficulty for us at all.
But for you, what should be the approach in enforcing the tax laws without businesses having cause to raise concerns about harassments?
I've said that we have to create the enabling systems that ensure that everybody is told to do the right thing. And then those areas that create the loopholes that make people dodge the tax payment is the thresholds that is created by the GRA itself. Thresholds and limits of a certain limit for the taxes and all that. It creates different avenues for people to dodge. Somebody who is even over that threshold will find ways to come below the threshold so that you will dodge the tax. So we have to avoid all these discretional measures and make sure that we make taxes very uniform and very fairly. Taxes should be fair.
All right.
If there's no fairness in the taxes, it doesn't work. So it's about creating the system that will ensure that everybody knows that they are towing the line to do the right thing for government to generate the much needed revenue that it seeks. Because it's very important that government also get revenue.
That's fair.
It's very important.
I would like to also hear from Dr. Beng. I would like to also hear from Chonam to speak to us on the subject matter. And Chonam, your initial take about the 2025 budget being heavy on tax compliance. What are your views?
Thank you, Pius. Good evening to your cherished listeners, and good evening, my good friend Joseph. So essentially, if you follow the campaign that had just ended before the elections, you realize that all the political parties were very heavy in promising about tax compliance. In fact, to the extent that all the political parties campaigned heavily on, cancelling of taxation, e-levying, and all of that, was only natural to expect that they would like to expand compliance. For us in industry, we're very excited about that, and we would continue to support government to do that. But it's important to note that the issue of compliance has always been on the table. AGI have had concerns to complain about how compliance is being implemented and achieved. So, for example, the tax authorities continue to focus on the very few companies that will always pay the tax. So instead of expanding the tax net, they would rather increase the tax for the few companies that will comply. And what we would like to see is a total departure from this arrangement. We would like to see almost every company or every individual that ought to pay tax actually paying the tax. That's really what we want to see. And the issue then is...
All right, finish that for me.
The issue then is, which I know you're going to ask, is how? How do we achieve that? And that's one of the things that we are very keen to see how government would like to achieve that. We know that there are several sectors that tax collection has been extremely low. Take the real estate sector, for example. There are several huge mansions all over the city of Accra. They are not paying taxes. Most of them, not that they don't want to pay taxes, but nobody goes to them for taxing. Look, I have a friend in East Legon. He lived all his life in the US. He's back home. He's been asking how he can pay his tax on his house. And as of today, nobody goes to his house to collect tax. So we would like to see the infrastructure put in place to collect tax from all of these real estate owners and so on. And if we're able to do that effectively, that will be one of the surest ways to mobilize money.
All right.
A lot of people who have money would rather buy real estate. So it's really an area that you can tap in and expand the tax network.
And I believe we also have a greater role to play in all of these. But what sort of cooperation would the leadership, for example, of AGI give to its members when it comes to honoring their tax obligations to ensure smooth enforcement of the tax laws?
So as we've always indicated, we are determined to cooperate with the government in collecting taxes. In fact, we have regular meetings with government about how taxes should be collected and so on. So we don't have a problem. Our challenge is how they continue to increase our taxes. So for our members, we can guarantee you that we will continue to cooperate. We are only interested in the mechanism. How are you able to expand the tax net? The Okada driver who is delivering goods in Accra every day and is paid cash. How is that person able to pay tax? Just focus on the delivery market in Accra, and you realize that there's so much taxes to be collected. So we are talking about practical mechanisms of collecting tax. We would like to see how systems are automated and also how we formalize a lot of these businesses that make a lot of money.
And Dr. Obeng, there's been calls for, Dr. Obeng, there's been calls for education and awareness creation on the relevance of tax compliance. Is this something the association will pay critical attention to ensure none of your members fall foul against the law?
This is one of the major things that we do with the GRA, and the GRA can attest to this. So we are talking about enhancing the education. That's all that now we are going to do to enhance it more. Because it is, everybody knows that we have the responsibility and we are liable to also pay our dues to the government. Everybody knows that. But it's a system that is debarring people from doing the right thing. I've said that we have to make systems very simplified and very affordable as the government seeks to do. When they are doing, they're able to do that, it is a major hurdle that government have cleared. And then the rest is how, because if taxes are affordable and simplified, I mean, you have solved about 60% of compliance. And then the rest will be the enforcement and then the monitoring and the education that we have to come in to help Ghana Revenue Authority to do that. I've said that thresholds, we should be able to remove all thresholds and limits that will also serve as the gray areas for people to want to dodge, using the limit as a scapegoat to dodge the taxes. So it's not as simple as that you have to just reduce some few taxes and you say that you are coming on to enforce on compliance.
All right.
It will not work if you haven't built the necessary systems that I'm talking about. And that's the more reason why we even have to engage government to let government know some of these gray areas even before they come out. Engagement with stakeholders is very important. It should not be said that just a few technocrats sat down and then make something, and that thing have proven that it has never worked in the past. So it's very important that as government want to enhance on compliance, and the whys and hows should come in from the stakeholders like myself and my brother, ADI.
Chonam, you have the final words on this move as we await the 2025 budget to be read. I need some clarity on the enforcement. I'm pretty sure you are also looking forward to that. So tell us your expectations on that and, of course, the clarity part in enforcing the tax laws.
Well, enforcement using the Buga mechanism have not worked. Coming to lock our offices and all of that is never worked. So there has to be a more innovative ways of ensuring that people comply. We are going to be engaging GRA on this Friday and other government officials about how best to have this done. But we are sure that once the systems are put in to ensure that everybody within a tax network is able to pay tax, that's one of the surest ways.
Very well.
That system, government has to think through and create it. Then we're happy to support in making sure that it works.
Very well. Thank you so much.
I support Chonam on the issue of machoism in tax enforcement. That one never helped. It rather agitates the people and to refuse. And so we have to build modernized systems that will necessarily bring people naturally on board.
Very well.
As well as also using some baits. We don't use baits to help people to even voluntarily comply. We have to talk through all these things. We also have a meeting with the new Commissioner General tomorrow, and we'll put some of these things across. I think it's also very important, like Chonam is saying, that we even had a meeting with the Finance Ministry even before putting some of the small these things at the end of the budget, so that we can have a proper firm this in control or this
All right.
compliance thing that we're talking about.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time here on Business Live. Dr. Joseph Obeng is the president of GUTA, as well as Chena Mapelu, the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, speaking to us here on Business Live. And one longer on tax masters, because Chief Executive of Delex Finance, Joe Jackson, insists government must improve on tax compliance to mitigate the impact of tax reforms on the economy. He's been speaking on Marketplace.
I'm making the point that it's important to expand the tax net. It is important to reduce the burden on those who are paying tax, primarily in the very formal sector. And that compliance shouldn't just be for those in the formal sector. It should bring those who are outside the tax net, especially in the informal sector, into it so that we can increase the volume of taxes that come in. That will enable us to remove some of the taxes which the Ghanaian public believes is burdensome. Now, I believe the concern of the IMF is that you shouldn't just cut taxes, but you should keep an eye on the total tax revenue collected. And that it will refer to this economy if the total tax collected reduces because you've removed some tax.
Government has finally given its approval for insurance companies to go ahead and implement the 10% increase in third-party tariffs. There is more in this report.
Joy Business is learning that the approval was secured last week. This was after the former Insurance Commissioner, Michael Kofi Andor, briefed the Finance Minister, Dr. Kaseo Latu-Forson, about the need for the tariffs to be reviewed. Based on this development, all the insurance companies in the country can go ahead and charge 10% motor insurance premiums. The National Insurance Commission was forced to suspend the implementation of these tariffs from February 2025 due to what it describes as some industry concerns. However, some of the players did not heed to the directive coming from the regulator and went ahead to charge the new tariffs. They now have the necessary regulatory approval to charge these new tariffs. But there are concerns about the impact of this development on purchase of insurance products, especially when it comes to motor insurance.
The Joy Business van comes up shortly after this break. Welcome back to Business Life. Let's now take the Joy Business van. While organic chocolate currently makes up less than 5% of the global market, its sales continue to rise as consumers seek higher or healthier chemical-free options. However, the shift of organic cocoa farming in Ghana presents a unique set of challenges. The Joy Business van visits Fair Afrique, a chocolate manufacturing company leading the charge in promoting organic chocolates. Thanks for watching Business Life. I am Pius Kujubaka.